A warm welcome to Anuradha Vedic Astrology. Today, we are going to talk about respiratory disorders and astrological reasons behind it. And at the end, we will also be giving some remedies which can help you to a great extent. May not cure your disease, but will help you. But before we begin, I would like to thank all of you for liking, sharing and subscribing to our YouTube and Spotify channels and writing in your comments and suggestions there. If you haven't subscribed to us, please do, and do remember to press the bell icon so that you can get the updates ASAP. Respiratory disorders and how does it relate to you? So, first and foremost, I will take a very common respiratory disorder that we have nowadays, which is asthma. What is asthma? Asthma happens when our airways get swollen and phlegm, that is a lot of mucus gets accumulated there such that a person has difficulty breathing. Sometimes we find that asthma is a minor disorder and it causes just a little problem to people, but sometimes it can be life-taking. And in the times of corona, where we have seen a rise in respiratory disorders, I would not suggest you people to take it lightly. So, do listen to the long-term yet benefic remedies that one can do. So, let us get on to which houses get affected when we are having asthma. The first thing that we need to consider is the signs of the Kalpurusha Kundali. When we are taking the signs of the Kalpurusha Kundali, you need to consider the third house and the fourth house. Why so? That is Gemini and Cancer. Why so? Because under Gemini comes our neck, which holds the windpipe, and it also holds the upper torso, which is also talking about your trachea, which is also talking about your upper parts of the lungs. And under Cancer, we have the proper chest or the lung area. So, if you are having problems with your Gemini, or if you see an affliction in your sign of Gemini and in your sign of Cancer, it requires a serious consideration. In fact, sometimes we just have Saturn sitting in our sign of Cancer or our Gemini, but what happens is that when Rahu transit happens, it might trigger a strong reaction. Thereby, a person can undergo some respiratory disorder for a small period of time only. Consider that. Check that in your charts. Now, let us come to the houses. What are the houses that are under consideration? The first house that we take under consideration is the third house. The house where your talking, your breathing gets affected. Obviously, when you are having a respiratory disorder, breathing and talking gets extremely constricted, restricted, and a person cannot use his his vocal facilities properly. And as we talked about Cancer, so we see the fourth house which talks about the lungs. Here again the lung capacity gets affected and thereby we see a lot of phlegm getting accumulated. Now, let us talk about the planets. The watery planets obviously should be included because phlegm is watery in nature, or the accumulation of whatever that we say as a lot of liquid which restrict the breathing process is watery in nature. So, Moon, which is also the ruler of Cancer and gets Digbal in the fourth house, is definitely a planet that we must consider. When we are talking about chronic disorders like asthma, which continue for a long period of time and can give you problems relating to asthma, relating to breathing till the end of your life. So, chronic disorders need to be seen from the 8th house, which again is a watery house, and Rahu is the planet which is very much related to chronic disorders. Jupiter expands, hence the water element which needs an expansion can happen through Jupiter also. If this Jupiter is afflicted, it can give a lot of issues. So, we will find that a good Jupiter can make you a doctor, can give you a good health, whereas an afflicted Jupiter can be a cause of one of your diseases. Having said that, let us take an example of a person who is suffering from asthma for quite a long time, but due to a lot of precautions and being the one to exercise regularly, as I talked about remedial measures, pranayam is very important, but we will take that later. So, now we are going to take the chart of a person who has asthma for quite a period of time, in fact since birth, but due to proper precautions have also been able to make it long in life. This person has her lagna in Cancer and the sign of Cancer is afflicted due to being on the Rahu-Ketu axis. What more? The malefic Mercury, which is the lord of the 12th and the 3rd house, when it comes to diseases, 3, 6, 8, 12 are not, in fact even 11 is not a house that is considered to be very good. So, the lord of the 3 and the 12 both, that is Mercury, is Digbali and retrograde, becoming very strong in the lagna itself. So, we see that the lagna is highly afflicted with the second lord sun Marrakesh also being present there. This gives a person a propensity to catch cold. Again, it is a sign which is watery in nature. So, a person can catch cold, person is easily susceptible to these diseases like asthma, respiratory disorder, and we see that there is no benefic influence whatsoever on these on the sign of Cancer. Now, when we talk about the fourth house and the 3rd house, the 3rd house again has a malefic planet Saturn and the 4th house has a malefic the Mars sitting there, and the 3rd house is aspected by Rahu, whereas there is protection on the 4th house by Jupiter. And this Jupiter is good because it is also the 9th lord, which gives one a lot of vitality. So, we can say that the person though has a highly afflicted Cancer sign, the 3rd and the 4th house are also afflicted, but however there is a protection by Jupiter on the 4th house. Moreover, the 4th lord Venus is also protected by Jupiter. We know that the lagna lord here, moon, which is also one of the factors that we have to consider, is afflicted by Jupiter. So, this is again something by Rahu. So, this is again something that one needs to consider. Now, let us come to the remedial measures. When we are talking about remedial measures, one needs to consider doing pranayam. If you can look into your chart and you see that there is a propensity to catch cold easily, you have planets in water houses, you see that your moon or your Jupiter is afflicted, your Cancer, your Gemini is afflicted, you know very well that these are the areas you can get ill in. So, to avoid illness, one can do pranayam, one should be able to distinguish, get it done from a good teacher, so that you learn it, you practice it, and you also learn to use or take help of Ayurveda and eat the right kind of food. Do not eat a lot of cold food in the cold season or at night, which is a short way to contract these issues. So, till we meet with you again, stay safe and do write to us how you found this video. Thank you.